Greetings, curious minds and lovers of the absurd. Prepare yourselves for a tale so bizarre, so utterly preposterous, that it might just make perfect sense. Welcome to the Mosquito's Marital Misadventure, a comical tale of chaos and consequences. Buckle up, because this story has more twists than a pretzel in a tornado. In a world where insects dream big and animals talk, there lived a mosquito named Mozzie. Now, Mozzie wasn't your average blood-sucking pest. Oh no, she was a mosquito with ambition, style, and a burning desire to find her perfect match.
Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who's the most eligible insect of them all? Oh wait, that's me!
Mozzie dolled herself up in the finest mosquito couture. Shimmering bangles, a silk sari that would make a butterfly jealous, and a braid so long it could double as a rappelling rope.
Look out, world, here comes Mozzie! I'm single, I'm fabulous, and I'm ready to mingle.
Our fashionable femme fatale flew far and wide, leaving a trail of besotted bugs in her wake. But Mozzie wasn't interested in just any creepy crawly. She wanted a real catch, a true partner in crime, love. One day she encountered a strapping young bull named Beefy.
Well, hello there, little lady. You look like you could use a big, strong bull in your life. What do you say we mosey on down to the pasture and I'll show you how to really grab life by the horns?
Oh please, I've seen more attractive fly swatters. What exactly can you bring to the table besides an oversized cowbell?
Honey, I'm the total package. By day, I'm plowing fields like a boss. By night, I'm a lean, mean, cud-chewing machine. Plus, I make my own organic fertilizer. How's that for sustainable living?
Darling, the only thing you're fertilizing is this conversation. I'm looking for a husband, not a compost heap. Bye-bye.
Undeterred, Mozzie continued her search. Soon she came across a group of hoes having a hootenanny in the garden shed.
Hey there, Mosquito Magnificent. Why don't you come and hang with us? We're the tools that really know how to party.
Well, aren't you a charming bunch of dirty hoes? But I'm in the market for a husband, not a garden implement.
Oh, come on, sweet cheeks. I could be the tool of your dreams. I've got a great work ethic, I'm always on top of things, and I know how to handle my shaft.
Oh, brother, that's about as smooth as a rusty rake. Sorry, boys, but I dig deeper than surface level. This mosquito needs more substance and less mulch in her life.
As Mozzie flew off, leaving the disappointed hoes behind, she couldn't help but wonder if her perfect match existed.
Is it too much to ask for someone who doesn't have manure for brains or splinters for personality? Stay tuned, folks. This mosquito's quest continues.
Another day dawned, and Mozzie was starting to feel like she'd have better luck finding a vegetarian Venus flytrap than a suitable husband. But fate, dear viewers, works in mysterious ways, especially when rats are involved. As Mozzie was taking a breather on a discarded soda can, she overheard a group of rats engaged in what seemed to be a heated debate about cheese politics.
I'm telling you, Gouda should be our national cheese.
Nonsense, cheddar or bust. You're both wrong. Swiss is the holy grail of cheeses. It's got holes for crying out loud.
Amidst this dairy-fueled discord, Mozzie noticed a peculiar rat. He wasn't the biggest or the loudest, but there was something about him that caught her compound eye.
Gentlemen, let it be reasonable. All cheetahs have their merits. Why, just the other day in my travels, I came across a Roquefort that would make your whiskers curl.
Well, what have we here? A rat of culture and worldly experience? Color me intrigued.
Mozzie, deciding to take a chance, flew down to introduce herself.
Well, hello there, distinguished gentlemen. I couldn't help but overhear your riveting discussion on fromage. I must say, it's quite refreshing to encounter such cultured individuals.
Well, bless my tail. Who this vision of lawlessness that hath graced earth with her pretense?
The name's Mozzie, darling. And who might you be, you charming chunk of cheddar?
I'm Limpy, my dear. Adventurer extraordinaire. Connoisseur of fine cheese, and purveyor of all things exquisite. But pray tell, what brings such a delightful creature to our humble abode?
Oh, you know, just your typical mosquito about town searching for love in all the wrong places. You wouldn't happen to know any eligible bachelors, would you? Preferably someone who can offer more than just a good meal.
Why, as it so happens, I'm a Thelpham on the market, and I can assure you, my dear, I'm quite the catch. Allow me to enumerate my qualifications.
And enumerate he did. For the next several minutes, Limpy regaled Mozzie with tales of his adventures, his many skills, and his plans for the future.
You thee! I'm not just any old rat. I'm a rat of the world, I've been the thewers of Paris, the thubways of New York, and the dumpsters of Tokyo. I can procure anything your heart desires: cooking oil, designer threads, even those fancy blood-flavored cocktails you mosquitoes are so fond of.
Impressed. My, you are full of surprises, aren't you? But tell me, Limpy, what makes you think you're husband material?
Ah, my dear Mosquito, I may not be the biggest or the strongest, but what I lack in thighs, I make up for in heart and wit. Plus, I've got connections in all the right places. With me by your side, you'll never have to work another day in your life. We'll be the power couple of the pest world.
Oh, Limpy, you silver-tongued devil! You had me at Thewers of Paris. I do believe I've found my match.
And just like that, faster than you can say cheesy romance, Mozzie and Limpy were engaged. The other rats cheered, throwing bits of moldy cheese like confetti.
To the happy
May your
couple.
love be as holy as Swiss and as strong
And
as
may you
extra
never
mature
run out
cheddar.
of pest control to dodge.
The wedding was the social event of the season. Bugs from all corners of the garden gathered to witness the union of Mozzie the mosquito and Limpy the rat. The bride wore a veil made from the finest spider silk, while the groom sported a dapper bottle cap as a top hat.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the joining of these two pests in holy pestrimony. Do you, Limpy, take this mosquito to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until pest control do you part?
I do, 1,000 times I do.
And do you, Mozzie, take this rat to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until pest control do you part?
I do. Now let's seal this deal before I need another blood meal.
Then, by the power vested in me, by the great garbage dump in the sky, I now pronounce you rat and wife. You may kiss the bride.
The newlyweds shared a tender kiss, much to the delight and slight disgust of the assembled crowd. For a while, life was like a dream for Mozzie and Limpy. They set up a cozy little nest in an old shoe, decorated with bottle caps and shiny wrappers. Limpy, true to his word, showered Mozzie with gifts, the finest crumbs, the most fragrant garbage, and even a miniature chandelier made from discarded Christmas lights.
Oh, Limpy, darling, you've made me the happiest mosquito in the world. Who knew married life could be so wonderful?
Anything for you, my sweet. Your happiness is all that mattereth to me.
But as with many whirlwind romances, the honeymoon phase couldn't last forever. Soon the cracks began to show in their seemingly perfect union.
Limpy, dear, would it kill you to pick up your cheese rinds? I'm tired of coming home to a pigsty.
But Schnookums, I thought you liked the authentic rodent aesthetic. And besides, I brought you a lovely bit of moldy bread today. Isn't that worth something?
Moldy bread? Again? Limpy, I'm a mosquito. I need blood, not bread. Sometimes I wonder if you even know me at all.
Their arguments became more frequent, often ending with Mozzie buzzing off in a huff and Limpy drowning his sorrows in a thimble of fermented fruit juice. One fateful day, after a particularly heated exchange about Limpy's habit of bringing home stray fleas, our bickering couple found themselves at a crossroads.
I can't take this anymore. I need some water to cool off. Mosquito, be a dear and fetch me a drink, will you?
Oh, so now I'm your servant, am I? Fine, one water coming right up, your majesty.
Little did they know that this simple request would lead to a chain of events so bizarre, so utterly ludicrous, that it would change the course of their lives, and the lives of countless others, forever. Mozzie returned with a dewdrop of water, hovering near Limpy's nose.
Here's your precious water, oh husband of mine. I do hope it meets your highness's exacting standards.
You'll have to do, I suppose.
But as Limpy leaned in to take a sip, disaster struck. You see, dear viewers, rats drink by rapid inhalation. And in that moment, as Limpy took a mighty gulp, poor Mozzie was sucked right up into Limpy's nose.
Mosty! Oh no, what have I done? Tell me one help. My wife is the tuck in my nuther.
But alas, it was too late. Our fashionable, ambitious, witty Mozzie had met her untimely end in the most unexpected of places, her husband's nasal cavity. The other rats gathered around, unsure whether to laugh or cry at the absurdity of the situation.
Well, I guess you could say their marriage was nothing to sneeze at.
Too soon, man, too soon.
News of Mozzie's bizarre demise spread through the animal kingdom faster than a cat chasing a laser pointer. The rats, being the classy rodents they were, decided that Mozzie deserved a proper send-off.
Friends, rodents, country mice, lend me your ears. We are gathered here today to honor the memory of Mozzie the Mosquito, beloved wife of Limpy, who left this world in a most unconventional manner.
She was the wind beneath my wings, or rather, the Bothbeth in my nother.
The funeral procession was a sight to behold. The rats had fashioned a tiny bier out of matchsticks and bottle caps, upon which they placed Mozzie's remains, or at least, what they could extract from poor Limpy's nose. As they marched towards the nearby stream, animals from all walks of life joined the procession. There were flies wearing little black armbands, spiders carrying miniature violins, and even a group of ants forming a marching band. When they reached the stream, the rats gently placed the bier into the water. As it floated away, Limpy threw himself to the ground in anguish.
There, old chap. She's in a better place now, probably buzzing around that big porch light in the sky.
As the funeral party dispersed, none of them realized that this was just the beginning. Mozzie's final journey was about to set off a chain reaction that would turn their world upside down. Now in this very same forest lived a majestic elephant named Ellie. Ellie was known far and wide for her wisdom, her strength, and her impeccable memory. Oh, and her love for a good, clean drink of water. Every day Ellie would make her way to her favorite spot by the stream, where the water was always crystal clear and refreshing. But on this particular day,
Great googly moogly! What in the name of peanuts has happened to my water?
the once clear stream was now murky and filled with debris, the aftermath of Mozzie's impromptu water burial.
Excuse me, Mr. Stream, but you seem to have let yourself go. What's the deal? Bad breakup with a tributary?
Oh, Ellie, haven't you heard? It's simply dreadful. The most tragic thing has occurred.
More tragic than the time the monkeys used me as a water slide without warning? Do tell.
Well, there was this mosquito, you see. Mrs. Rat, they called her. Anyway, she died in the most peculiar fashion. Sucked up her husband's nose, if you can believe it. The rats held a funeral and tossed her remains into me. Now I'm all gloomy and dirty. It's simply not my style, darling.
Great grazing grounds. A mosquito married to a rat? Sucked up a nose? This is more dramatic than a soap opera. Oh, the tragedy of it all.
Ellie, being the sensitive soul she was, felt overwhelmed by the tale of Mozzie's untimely demise. In a fit of empathy, and perhaps a touch of dehydration-induced delirium, she made a rash decision.
This calls for a grand gesture. I shall break off one of my tusks in sympathy.
Ellie, dear, don't you think that's a bit extreme?
Nonsense. It's the least I can do for poor Mozzie. Besides, I've always wanted to try the asymmetrical look. It's very in this season.
And with that, Ellie proceeded to ram her tusk against a nearby boulder until it broke off.
Ouch. You know, in hindsight, this might not have been my brightest idea. But what's done is done. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to find a place to lie down and rethink my life choices.
Nursing her newfound headache and lopsided appearance, Ellie wandered over to a nearby date palm to rest. The date palm, named Palmer, had been minding its own business, enjoying the sunshine and photosynthesizing like there was no tomorrow. That is, until a one-tusked elephant came lumbering towards it.
Well. If it isn't Ellie the elephant. Long time no? Say, what happened to your tusk? Did you get into a fight with a particularly aggressive toothbrush?
Oh, Palmer, you have no idea of the tragedy that has befallen our forest. Prepare yourself for a tale of love, loss, and nasal cavities.
Ellie proceeded to recount the entire saga of Mozzie the Mosquito to the bewildered palm tree.
Let me get this straight. A mosquito married a rat, died in his nose, got a water burial, and now you've gone and lopped off your own tusk? And here I thought my life was exciting because a woodpecker considered moving in last week.
I know it sounds bizarre, but it's all true. Oh, the heartbreak of it all. Don't you feel moved to do something, anything, to honor poor Mozzie's memory?
Well, I suppose I could drop all my leaves in solidarity. It's not like I'm particularly attached to them. They'll grow back, probably.
That's the spirit, united in grief, that's what we are.
And so in a spectacular display of sympathy and questionable decision-making, Palmer the date palm shed all its leaves at once.
Well, would you look at that? I feel positively naked, but also liberated? Is this what a midlife crisis feels like for trees?
Oh, Palmer, you're a true friend. Mozzie would be touched by your gesture, if she weren't, deceased and all.
Little did Ellie and Palmer know. Their acts of solidarity were about to inspire a domino effect of well-intentioned but increasingly absurd gestures throughout the forest. Enter Carl the Crow, a regular visitor to Palmer's branches and self-proclaimed forest gossip columnist. Carl arrived at his usual perch, only to find it suspiciously lacking in the leaf department.
Great cawing calamities. Palmer, my old friend, you're looking a bit sparse. Did you get a haircut, or did a tornado decide to play barber?
Ah, Carl, pull up a branch and let me tell you a story that'll ruffle your feathers.
Well, pluck my tail feathers and call me Baldy. That's quite the yarn you're spinning. But I must ask, where am I supposed to sit now? Your branches are about as cozy as a cactus.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Sorry, old chap.
No, this simply won't do. If you're all making grand gestures, then I, Carl the Crow, cannot be outdone. I shall pluck out my own eye in honor of Mozzie.
Whoa there, Carl. Don't you think that's a bit drastic? Maybe you could just, caw sadly or something?
Nonsense. Go big or go home. That's what I always say. Besides, I've always wondered what the world looks like in 2D.
And before anyone could stop him, Carl proceeded to apparently pluck out his own eye.
Egad, that smarts something fierce. But fear not, for I shall wear this missing eye as a badge of honor. From this day forth, I shall be known as Carl the One-Eyed Crow, spreader of tales and setter of trends.
I'm starting to think we might have overreacted a smidge.
You think? Well, too late now. We're committed to this solidarity thing. Besides, I hear asymmetry is all the rage these days.
As Carl flew off, slightly less gracefully than before, to spread the news of Mozzie and the growing chain of sympathetic gestures, our scene shifts to yet another unsuspecting player in this escalating drama of absurdity. In a quiet corner of the garden stood Walter the Wall, a sturdy old structure who had seen his fair share of garden drama over the years. Walter prided himself on being a pillar of the community, quite literally.
Another peaceful day. Nothing but me, the ivy, and the occasional lizard sunbathing on my bricks. Life is good.
But Walter's tranquility was about to be shattered by the arrival of a certain one-eyed crow.
Extra. Read all about it. Or in my case, see all about it. With my one remaining eye.
Carl, is that you? You're looking a bit different. Did you do something with your feathers?
Oh, Walter, my visually challenged friend. You won't believe the news I bring. It's a tale of tragedy, sacrifice, and questionable decision-making.
Carl proceeded to recount the entire saga, from Mozzie's unfortunate demise to his own ocular sacrifice.
Let me get this straight. A mosquito died in a rat's nose, so an elephant broke its tusk, a palm tree stripped naked, and you gouged out your own eye? What's next? Is the sun going to start orbiting the Earth?
It's all true. I swear on my missing eye. The whole forest is in mourning. So, what do you say, Walter? Care to join our chain of solidarity?
I don't know, Carl. I'm not really the impulsive type. I prefer to stand firm in the face of adversity.
Oh, come on, you old stick in the mud. Where's your sense of community spirit? Your flair for the dramatic?
Well, when you put it that way, I suppose I could fall down.
That's the spirit. Embrace the chaos, Walter.
And so, with a groan that echoed through the garden, Walter the Wall decided to collapse dramatically.
I'm starting to think this might have been an overreaction. Also, I think I've squashed a family of beetles. My apologies, little friends.
Bravo, Walter. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must spread the word of your noble deed.
As Carl flew off, leaving a very flat Walter in his wake. The chain of well-intentioned but increasingly absurd reactions continued to spread. Enter Fiona, the farmer's wife. A no-nonsense woman with a schedule to keep and a husband to feed. Every day at noon, she would walk past Walter the Wall, carrying her husband's lunch in a bundle on her head.
Let's see. We've got cheese sandwiches, apple pie, and great galloping gourmet. What happened here?
Fiona stood slack-jawed at the sight of the crumbled wall.
Walter? Walter the Wall? Is that you down there? What in the name of all that's mortar are you doing on the ground?
Oh, hello, Fiona. Lovely day for a lie-down, don't you think?
A lie down? You're a wall. Walls don't take naps, they stand up. That's literally your one job.
But you haven't heard the news, have you? Sit down, my dear. There's plenty of room now, and let me tell you a story that will change your life.
And so, Walter recounted the now familiar tale of Mozzie the Mosquito and the subsequent chain of events.
So let me get this straight. Because a mosquito died in a rat's nose, half the forest has gone bonkers? And you decided to join in by falling over?
Well, when you put it like that, it does sound a bit silly. But you know what they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Or in this case, when in a forest of lunacy, embrace the madness.
I swear the heat must be getting to everyone. But who am I to judge? If everyone's making grand gestures, then I suppose I should do my part too.
That's the spirit. What did you have in mind?
Well, I could... Oh, I know. I'll throw away my husband's lunch and run home empty-handed. That'll show solidarity, right?
Are you sure that's wise? Your husband might not appreciate...
Nonsense! He'll understand once I explain about the mosquito and the rat and the elephant and the palm tree and the crow and you. On second thought, maybe I'll just tell him I tripped.
And with that, Fiona dramatically tossed her husband's lunch into the air, scattering sandwiches and pie to the four winds.
This is for you, Mozzie the Mosquito. May your spirit find peace, and may my husband not find out about this.
As Fiona sprinted home, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs and confusion in her wake, the ripple effect of Mozzie's demise continued to spread, reaching ever more ridiculous heights. Meanwhile, in the fields, Frank the farmer was hard at work, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding around him. As the sun reached its zenith, his stomach began to grumble.
Whew, time for a break. I wonder what delicious lunch Fiona has packed for me today.
But as the minutes ticked by, there was no sign of Fiona or his lunch.
That's odd. Fiona's never late with lunch. I hope everything's all right.
Suddenly, he saw Fiona running towards him, empty-handed and out of breath.
Fiona, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Or worse, my mother-in-law.
Oh, Frank, you won't believe what's happened. It's a tale of tragedy, sacrifice, and questionable decision-making.
Goodness, that sounds serious. Did old Mr. Johnson's prize-winning pumpkin finally explode?
No, it's much worse than that. You see, there was this mosquito.
Fiona proceeded to recount the entire bizarre chain of events, from Mozzie's unfortunate demise to her own impulsive act of lunch-tossing solidarity.
Let me get this straight. A mosquito died in a rat's nose, so an elephant broke its tusk, a palm tree went bald, a crow poked out its eye, our garden wall committed suicide, and you threw away my lunch?
Exactly, isn't it tragic?
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. That's the strangest thing I've heard since Cousin Ernie claimed he was abducted by aliens who wanted to learn square dancing.
So, you're not mad about the lunch?
Mad? No. Confused? Absolutely. Hungry? You bet your bottom dollar. But if everyone's making sacrifices, then I suppose I should do my part too.
Oh, Frank, you're so understanding. What did you have in mind?
Well, I know, I'll break my plow. That'll show solidarity, right?
Break your plow? But Frank, harvest season is just around the corner.
Some things are more important than harvests, my dear. Like honoring the memory of a mosquito I never met.
And with that, Frank proceeded to smash his plow against a nearby rock, sending splinters flying everywhere.
This is for you, Mozzie the Mosquito. May your spirit find peace and may the hardware store have a sale on plows.
As Frank stood there, holding the remnants of his plow and wondering if he'd gone a bit too far, Their son Timmy came running up from the direction of the village.
Dad! Mom! You won't believe what's happening in town! Everyone's gone cuckoo!
Now, son. I'm sure it's not that bad. Why don't you tell us what you saw?
Well, I was on my way to school when I saw Mr. Wilson, the butcher, trying to shave his prize pig.
Shave his pig? But why?
He said something about solidarity and a mosquito. Then Mrs. Thompson, the librarian, started throwing books out the window, yelling, "Free the words!"
Frank and Fiona exchanged guilty looks.
Son, about that. There's something we need to tell you.
Frank and Fiona took turns explaining the now infamous tale of Mozzie the Mosquito and the subsequent chain of events.
So you're telling me that because a mosquito died, the whole town has lost its marbles? And you threw away Dad's lunch and broke the plow?
That about sums it up, yes.
Wow, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened in our boring old town. Can I join in? Please, please, please.
I don't know, son. Maybe we should put an end to this madness.
I've got it. I'll break my slate and refuse to go to school. That'll show solidarity, right?
Now, Timmy, let's not be hasty.
Too late, Mom. This is for Mozzie.
And with that, Timmy dramatically smashed his slate on the ground.
Hooray! No more school! Long live Mozzie the Mosquito!
I think we might have created a monster.
Well, at least he's enthusiastic about something educational, sort of.
As the family stood there, surrounded by broken farm equipment and shattered school supplies, they had no idea that the ripple effect of their actions was about to reach its bizarre climax. Meanwhile, at the village school, Mr. Higgins, the stern but well-meaning teacher, was growing increasingly perplexed. One by one, his students had failed to show up for class, each with a more outlandish excuse than the last.
Broken slates, shaved pigs, book-throwing librarians. What in the name of chalk and blackboards is going on in this town?
Just then, Timmy burst into the classroom, out of breath and grinning from ear to ear.
Timmy, thank goodness someone has finally arrived. Where is everyone? And where, pray tell, is your slate?
Oh, Mr. Higgins, you won't believe what's happened. It all started with a mosquito named Mozzie.
For the umpteenth time that day, the tale of Mozzie the Mosquito and its ever-expanding consequences was recounted.
Let me see if I understand this correctly. A mosquito died in a rat's nose, causing an elephant to break its tusk, a palm tree to go bald, a crow to blind itself, a wall to collapse, your mother to throw away lunch, your father to break his plow, and you to destroy your slate?
Exactly, isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful, it sounds like mass hysteria. This is worse than the Great Pencil Panic of 22.
So, what are you going to do, Mr. Higgins? Everyone's making sacrifices for Mozzie. You don't want to be left out, do you?
Left out? I most certainly do want to be left out. I'm a man of reason and logic, not some lemming following the crowd off a cliff of absurdity.
Ah, come on, Mr. Higgins. Where's your sense of community spirit? Your flair for the dramatic?
As Mr. Higgins listened to Timmy's words, something strange began to happen. A twitch developed in his left eye. His usually neatly combed hair began to stand on end, and a manic grin spread across his face.
Community spirit, flair for the dramatic? Oh, I'll show you dramatic, my boy. If it's sacrifice they want, it's sacrifice they'll get.
Mr. Higgins, are you feeling all right?
All right, I've never felt better. In fact, I feel so good that I'm going to make the ultimate sacrifice for dear Mozzie.
And with that, Mr. Higgins began to tear books from the shelves, overturn desks, and scribble nonsense equations all over the blackboard.
No more school, no more learning. From this day forward, ignorance shall reign supreme in honor of Mozzie the Mosquito.
Wow, Mr. Higgins, you're really getting into the spirit of things.
Oh, my dear boy, I'm just getting started. You see, if there's no more school, then there's no need for a teacher, is there?
I guess not.
Exactly, and so for my grand finale, I shall burn down the school and run out of town.
And with that, Mr. Higgins grabbed a box of matches from his desk drawer and ran out of the classroom, leaving a very bewildered Timmy in his wake. As word of Mr. Higgins's plan spread through the village, the townsfolk began to snap out of their Mozzie-induced madness. They gathered in the town square, watching in disbelief as smoke began to rise from the schoolhouse.
Great grazing cattle. What have we done?
It's all my fault. If I hadn't thrown away that lunch.
If I hadn't broken my slate.
If I hadn't decided to take a tumble.
If I hadn't pecked out my eye.
If I hadn't broken my tusk.
As the villagers lamented their collective foolishness, a small voice piped up from the crowd.
Excuse me, but has anyone actually seen this Mozzie the mosquito?
A hush fell over the crowd as they all looked at each other in confusion.
Well, you thee, it's a funny thing. I was just about to take a sip of water when my nether got a bit itchy. I gave it a good blow and out flew Mosquito, good as new.
Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Also, darling, we need to talk about your personal hygiene.
The villagers stood in stunned silence for a moment before bursting into laughter. As they chuckled at their own foolishness, they began to work together to put out the school fire, repair the damage, and set things right. And there you have it, folks. The Mosquito's Marital Misadventure, a comical tale of chaos and consequences. We hope you've enjoyed this whimsical journey through the power of rumor, overreaction, and the importance of fact-checking. Until next time, keep your wits about you and your mosquitoes out of your nose.